Ever have one of those mornings? You wake up feeling pretty good, but then, boom, that creeping neck pain starts to ruin your day. And you go through the usual suspects, right? It's got to be the pillow or how you slept. But what if I told you the real problem isn't even in your neck? Today, we're going to get into this really surprising sensory switch your brain might be making every single morning.
I mean, it is a frustrating mystery, isn't it? You get a full night's sleep, you feel rested, and then the pain just creeps in anyway. Well, the answer to why this is happening is probably not what you think, and it all starts with a pattern that, well, a lot of us know all too well.
So let's just dive right in and break down this cycle. I bet it's going to sound incredibly familiar to a lot of you. It's what we call the morning vicious circle. Okay, this quote right here, it just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? It perfectly captures that feeling, kind of like a bait and switch. You think, hey, it's going to be a good day. But then that old familiar tension just starts to build. And look, this isn't just in your head. It's a very real thing happening in your body. And this is basically the timeline for how it all goes down. You wake up, you feel great, but then give it about 30 minutes and the tightness starts to creep in. An hour later, it can be a full-blown headache. Maybe you even feel a little off balance or queasy. So you see, this is way more than just a stiff muscle. It's a whole system that's starting to break down. So what is that system?
Okay, so what is actually going on here? Well, our first big clue is in the amazing support system that's supposed to keep your head stable and pain-free. And that system involves both your neck and your inner ear.
All right, first get this number in your head, 8 to 12 pounds. That's how much the average adult head weighs. Think about that. It's like balancing a bowling ball on a stick all day long. Your neck muscles are constantly working to support that weight. It's a nonstop balancing act. And the system running that show is, wow, it's incredibly sophisticated. So the system in charge is called the vestibulo-cololic reflex. Let's just call it the VCR. It's way easier. And you can think of it as the body's own air traffic control for your head. Your inner ear senses every little movement and zaps these lightning-fast signals to your neck muscles. It tells them exactly how to tighten or relax to keep that bowling ball of a head perfectly balanced. But what happens when the control tower starts sending out bad information?
And that's the absolute key to all of this. When those signals from your inner ear are off, your neck muscles are basically getting mixed signals. They have no idea what to do, so they go into overdrive. They're constantly contracting, even fighting each other, just trying to find some stability. And by the time you're an hour into your day, they are just completely exhausted. And that exhaustion, that's the pain and tightness you're feeling. This all leads to a kind of internal conflict. It's happening inside your body every single time you move your head. It's basically a reflex tug of war, with two different systems both trying to do the same thing: keep your world from turning into a blurry mess. So let's break down the two players in this tug of war. On one side, you've got the hero of the story, the vestibulo-ocular reflex, the VOR. It's the A team. It uses those super fast inner ear signals to instantly stabilize your vision. It is incredibly fast and efficient. But then, on the other side, you've got the backup system, the cervical ocular reflex, or COR. It tries to do the same job, but it relies on much slower signals from sensors in your neck. Think of it as the understudy, and it is really not meant to be the star of the show. And I just love this analogy because it's so perfect. Relying on that backup system, the COR, is exactly like trying to stream a 4K movie on a terrible dial-up internet connection, right? When your main system, the VOR, is struggling, your brain has no choice but to force that slow backup system to take over. And the result is that laggy, blurry, whoa, I'm off balance feeling. The system just can't keep up. And this forced switch, that is the key to this whole mystery. Which brings us to the big reveal, the true culprit behind this whole vicious circle. It's a phenomenon called the sensory pivot. And this is the moment where your body literally changes its entire strategy for how it sees and interacts with the world. Okay, so in a normal, healthy system, this is how things are supposed to work. Your eyes are the navigator. They're free to scan and look all around, while your neck is the stabilizer, just a solid, reliable platform. It's simple, it's efficient, and most importantly, it's pain-free. But when those inner ear signals are unreliable, the brain kind of panics, and it flips everything completely upside down. It does this sensory pivot. All of a sudden, your eyes are forced to become the stabilizer, and your poor neck is trying to be the navigator. It's a total role reversal, and your brain is just desperately trying to create a steady picture by locking everything down. So here's exactly how that pivot happens. in 2 steps. First, your brain locks down your neck muscles. Its goal is to keep your head perfectly still because that's its new clumsy way of trying to stabilize your vision. And second, the sensors in your neck go on high alert, just screaming information back to the brain, trying to figure out where your head is in space. It's this combination, the constant lockdown and the high alert status, that causes all that chronic pain. So the big question is, how do you know if this is happening to you? Well, there are actually a few simple ways you can check to see if your body has become what we call visually dependent for balance. Yeah, let's make this personal for a second. Ask yourself, am I stuck in a sensory pivot? Here are a couple of really simple ways to get a clue. Okay, try some of these little self-checks. First, the walking shift. Do you feel kind of wobbly if you try to walk heel to toe in a straight line? That's a sign. How about the eyes closed challenge? Do you feel like you're just flying or about to fall over if you walk just a few steps with your eyes closed? That is a huge sign of visual dependency. And finally, the digital heck no. Do you just hate busy grocery aisles? Or do fast action movies in VR make you feel a bit sick? If so, that's your brain telling you it can't handle all that visual information because it's relying on it way too much for stability. All right, so we've identified the problem, we've found the culprit. Now for the most important part, right? The good news. How do you actually break this cycle and finally get some relief? And the very first thing you need to understand is this, and it's a message of hope, really. Your system isn't broken. It's not permanently damaged. It's just untuned. Think of it like a guitar that's gone out of key. It can be recalibrated. So here's the really important part. Those things you do to avoid the pain, like keeping your head perfectly still, they actually make the system weaker. The goal isn't just to stretch the sore muscles. The real goal is to fix the bad communication between your inner ear and your neck. Because once you optimize that signaling, you take that massive workload off your neck muscles, and for what might be the first time in a long time, they can finally relax. And look, this isn't something you can fix with a new pillow or a different mattress. The real solution here, the main takeaway, is to reach out to a professional who really understands vestibular disorders. They're the ones who can properly assess your system and help you retune that critical connection between your inner ear, your eyes, and your neck. So we're going to leave you with this final thought. The next time you wake up with that familiar ache, instead of just blaming your neck, ask yourself this one question. What if the key to your neck pain isn't in your neck at all? Pondering that might just change everything about how you see your pain and finally put you on the path to solving it for good.